Shalom, friends from around the world. It's a little bit different. There's a live stream, but we're going to speak about Zemanim and learn something here. So I just wanted to tell you, as you see, I go to the Kotel different times, and there's special reasons for this that goes behind why this effort to be at the Kotel or to pray at a certain Zman. So there's a machlokas in the Gemara, brachos, that one team says the night is divided into 3 watches, and another team says the night is divided into 4 watches. And during these watches, things are changing in the heavens. And when these gates are changing, there's openings. And a Kabbalist, someone who's aware of the surroundings, both here in Shemayim, they are aware of what's happening in the gates and the power of going through the gates at certain times, certain Zemanim. So at Chatzos, the gates are opening at midnight. The Zohar says that when is Chatzos, when is midnight? It says 6 hours after Tzeis Chochavim, after nightfall, the 3 stars. And other Meforshim are saying no, Chatzos is calculated differently based on the hourly divinations. And so here I am at the Kotel, specifically during the first 2 hours of that new shar, that new Zman, after Chatzos. So at Chatzos, it says that Hashem is coming into the Garden of Eden, the Gan Eden, and he's listening with the tzaddikim, with the sages, to the tzaddikim who are learning Torah in this world. In the first part of the night, you have a lot of din, a lot of judgment, where the world is judged for all the deeds I did during the day. People begin to sleep. But during that time, there's not this opening where you can literally pierce through and your prayers go right where they need to go, and your learning is in such a high level. It says that during the day it's Hashem's kindness, but at night His shira, His song is with me. When is that song? That song is at Chatzos. It carries until even for the next watch after the Chatzos watch, through the night into the sunrise, Vazikim, and it continues. And the Holy Baal Shem Tov said that praying at sunrise is like the difference between east and west. That's how great it is. And that a person, says in other portions, that a person is protected, he's given a shmirah by praying at the sunrise, that no harm will come to him that day. That's how great it is to pray at the sunrise, your prayers. And so the sages, as explains in the Zohar, would awaken. We learned this from David HaMelech, King David, and that's when he created this special zman of prayer, of mourning for the Beis Hamikdash, mourning for the Jewish people, for redemption. So he would wake up from the harp, goes by his bed, and then he would begin to pray and say the Psalms. And we recite this prayer Tikkun Chatzos during that time, where we are connecting to the idea of Gul and redemption. And so the sages, as it recommends in the Zohar, not just on Shavuos night. People think Shavuos night is a time we're receiving the Torah, we have to stay up all night and we have to study, then we daven with the sunrise. But no, for the tzaddik and the sages, this is every night. Every night is the idea of rising before the sunrise to learn Torah, and then to connect, as Zohar explains, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai explains, to connect the night with the day, to connect the learning with that idea of Geula. So that is why it's so important to pray during this important time of sunrise, and to learn Torah at night, because it says in other Meforshim that if you learn Torah at night, then the Torah study is worth many, many times. I think Rabbi Nachman says many, many times of what the Torah study you would accomplish during the day and what you're going to understand. So now is the time where there's a true shira, and this is why I try to grab the certain zmanim, but not just this zmanim, but throughout the day you have zmanim that are important to catch. For instance, there's a machlokes also, what is greater, to go and and pray at Mincha Gedola, right at the first time you can pray the Mincha prayers? Or is it greater to pray at sunset? And so there's a big discussion on this for different rabbis of which is greater. So the Kabbalists would usually choose one or the other, where they would be very, very careful to pray at the Mincha Gedola, the first time, which right now falls in around 12:30 or something like this, or for the night, because that's the special openings during these times where the gates are open at their fullest. So that's why we try to grab these prayer times to pray. So when I go to the Kotel, you see now it's the Chatzot. I'm here during the first 2 hours. I know this is the time when the gates have a special opening. And you'll see me davening and praying during the Mincha Marav at the sunset, where I want to grab the Mincha at that time where the gate is specially open. And then I'm waiting, instead of praying right away the Marav, even though I could pray it after Shkia, I'm waiting till the stars are coming out, so then I catch the next Zman also, so I'm able to go, because we spoke about how the first evening Zman, there's judgment in the world. So I want to daven my prayer in Marav because I want to erase that judgment and lower it. So therefore I'm waiting a little bit later till the stars come out. So that's also a special opening to pray at that time. So we have to have more awareness. Don't have to be a Kabbalist to understand this. There have to be awareness of not just using our time wisely, but finding the right times that there are openings for us, that our prayers can have a special effect in the heavens. And it's not just us that are praying during these special times, but the angels are also. There's thousands of angels that are praying and singing songs to God during these changing of the watches. And especially if you pay special attention, the exact moment of those watches are even more special, to be in a good place. You know, it's always said, it says that the person should start their day with joy, with positivity. So during these watches, when the new Zemanim start to make sure that you're learning Torah, and this is why people have an inyan to go and pray and learn Torah between Mincha and Marav, between those two prayer times, but to go and also to make sure to learn, to not just to learn, but to have a positivity during these times. When you first wake up in the morning, that's when you have to grab onto positivity and hope. And to not have negativity and think about what could happen negative, but only that things are going to be good that day, and to grab it during the special Zemanim to go and make that change. That's why it's so important to not only use your time wisely, but also understand time and the times in Shemayim. Now the tzaddikim who are able to be humble in complete humility, they are somewhat above time. So therefore they're able to, because in the Shemayim, in the heavens, even though there's watches, the time doesn't really exist like we know it. So when you're able to be in true humility, then you're able to connect, even if it's not the time down here, you're able to connect to those times, those watches in the heavens, the spiritual watches, even without the physical aspect of time. But that's for a whole nother level. But that's what we try to aspire to go and to grab and make the most out of the time and the watches. And I hope I opened up a new understanding for you. And shalom, shalom from the holy Kotel at the time, the Zman of Chatzot, Laila. Shalom, shalom, my friends. Please share the video, of course.